Hello YouTube, back to talk to you about another iPad. This time it's the iPad Pro 9.7. If you've missed it so far, it's basically the iPad Pro 12.9 but shrunken down into an iPad Air style format. Apple's trying to say that it's a really different device, so gave it 256GB of memory, it's got a true tone display and a better camera. So let's take a look and see if it really is a different tablet in its own right or just a slight upgrade on the iPad Air 2. So this is the iPad Pro 9.7. As you can see, it's a slightly smaller version of the iPad Pro compared to the 12.9 version. This is a lot larger and is essentially a much bigger iPad. You put it in your hands, you feel it, everyone says, wow, this is big. This feels a lot more portable, a lot more normal as a tablet. One of the key differences we've got here is the true tone display. What Apple's done is it's chucked in a few sensors up above around the screen. So if you imagine, for instance, you're looking at a piece of paper, if you're looking at it in a sort of a warm lamplight, it looks a little bit more orangey. Looking at it outside, it's a lot more blue. Apple's tried to do the exact same thing here with the iPad Pro 9.7. So as you can see, the screen itself here, it looks a bit more, it looks a little bit more yellow. It looks a little bit more natural. That's the idea really. Turning it on and off, you do see a bit of a difference. Ultimately, I do find it turns everything a little bit too yellow. It's like Apple's trying to be too natural, but it does work. It does make everything feel a little bit more, it feels nicer on the eyes. It feels easier to see things, easier to type and easier to browse the web. Other key difference we have here from the iPad Pro 12.9 is you've got loads more space to chuck in all the different bits and pieces you want to. Media, all on that. You can download as many iBooks, music, movies, everything you want, it can really fit in this. And the idea from that is to really rival laptops. Apple wants to say, yeah, this is a device that can really replace your laptop and everything you want to put in it, programs, apps, all available right here. In truth, this is actually too portable to be a laptop replacement. Using it on your lap, it feels a little bit too unbalanced. It feels like it's going to tip over at any given point. And yes, while it's really light and you can pick it up and it feels really good to do that, it's not the power device that you want. I much prefer the 12.9 for doing bits and pieces like that because the keyboard's larger, you can type much more easily, and essentially it's just better balanced. But for portability, slinging this in your bag, I found it was really good throughout the whole review. In terms of differences from the iPad Pro 12.9, there's actually not too much. The main one really being the processor, so you've got a slower CPU. It's still the A9X chip, but combined with 2GB rather than 4GB of RAM, so it doesn't make it quite as powerful as a beast. Ultimately, in the review though, that didn't really make a difference. Everything flips along really nicely under the finger. You can open and shut apps very, very quickly, and even doing things like Adobe Sketch, I didn't see any slowdown, so you could still use things like the keyboard, you could use the pencil. Everything worked nicely, and ultimately, Apple's made a much more shrunken down version of the iPad Pro with very little differences despite the performance changes. One of the common traits both iPads have is the really great speakers. Now on the iPad Pro, I was amazed with just how good the sound quality was. And I was a little bit worried given the iPad Pro 9.7 is smaller, that the speaker chambers would be smaller as well, and therefore the sound wouldn't be as good. Luckily I was wrong because everything sounds really great on this device as well. You've got 4 speakers firing each side, and what Apple has done here is it's made it so that the bottom speakers will always give the lower tones and the upper speakers the higher tones, so vocals and bass very much different. If you turn the device around, actually you'll find that those reorient as well, so you always got the optimum sound performance no matter which way you're holding the iPad. And it is a real selling point for this. You can chuck this iPad down in the kitchen, you can turn on a movie, you can turn on to Spotify if you're cooking at the same time, and it works really easily and it sounds really great. Audio's clear, vocals are really well defined. It makes it the real media marvel tablet that people are looking for. The iPad Pro 9.7 comes running iOS 9.3. Now one of the big features of that is night shift mode, so you can turn it on and off quite easily from here, and that gives it again a more yellow, a less blue tone, so if you're looking at this tablet at night, it won't affect your sleep too much. Again, it's like the true tone display. I found it makes everything a little bit too warm, but it does really work. The other part of iOS 9 is that it's a tablet-friendly display, so you can pull across, you can open up one app, and if you pull across on the side, you can have different bits and pieces come up there. You can choose how many different apps you want, and most of these are incorporated for dual screen, so if you wanted to watch a video at the same time, pull it right across, and again, while the 9.7-inch display isn't quite big enough for this, it does allow you to do it, and if you need a pinch to do multitasking, it's there for you. Another key difference with the iPad Pro 9.7 over its larger brother is the camera. We've got a 12 megapixel camera on here with all the same smarts as the iPhone 6s. So that means you've got a true tone flash. You've got a slightly larger device on the back. Everything is a lot clearer, focus pixels, low light capabilities. For some reason, Apple has chucked a really good camera onto a tablet. Now, we can only hope that that's designed at professionals because using this tablet out and about is still a terrible thing to do. It's a social faux pas. Please don't do it if you're just going to be taking pictures normally. Use your phone. But for professionals, it is actually quite a good idea because if you want to say you're a real estate agent and you want to take pictures and upload them straight and show your clients, that works really easily. You've got slow-mo capabilities, so if you're a fitness coach and you want to show somebody how they're performing, again, really really good, 240 frames per second slow-mo. That's a really useful feature. So for a professional, as the iPad Pro name suggests, it is good to have it there. Looking at the photos themselves, you can see again, you've got the same performance as on the iPhone 6s. We're looking at very different light levels here. And even though there's a slight struggle, even at close-up, you've got quite a lot of detail and a good range of light, despite, like I said, the really bright levels coming from the back and very dark inside. The camera does very well, and it works exactly as well as we found on the iPhone 6s. The iPad Pro 9.7 comes with Apple Pencil support just like its bigger brother, so in theory you can sketch, doodle and annotate away to your heart's content. But because it's small, I didn't find I used it as much, so while yes, you can fix Photoshop with it, it doesn't seem as useful or as attractive compared to the larger device. The iPad Pro 9.7 also comes with new screen technology. It's less reflective, it's brighter, and it means that no matter which way you're looking at it, it's much easier to see what's going on. I really found that it made a big difference to the way I was using it day to day, and while straight on you might not notice an immediate difference, overall it does have that uplift and it's a much more attractive display to look at. Unlike phones, battery life isn't as much of an issue on tablets because largely you get back to a charger before they run out of juice. The iPad Pro 12.9 did actually have a little bit of an issue because we were using it all day long, but the iPad Pro 9.7 outperforms it in terms of out and out battery usage. We found for media, for instance, watching movies, it lasted a little bit longer. So I'd be surprised if you had any battery issues because it lasts just long enough every single day. So that's the iPad Pro 9.7, and it's definitely more than iPad Air 3. It's well designed, it's got great specs, and it's really portable. But the question really is this a tablet for you? If you've got a tablet already, like an iPad Air or an iPad Air 2, then definitely not. You're fine with what you've got, and most tablets will do their job just fine. If you haven't got a tablet, then this is definitely the best on the market right now. It's got a great mix of price, screen tech, and internal technology as well to make it a really compelling device. The other question is which iPad Pro is right for you? The iPad Pro 12.9 is bigger, it's easy to type on, and it's got better sound. The iPad Pro 9.7 is more portable and gives you the same experience in terms of typing, sketching, browsing the web, watching movies. The bigger question here, of course, is this a laptop replacement? Not really, neither is, because they don't have that desktop environment. You can't multitask as easily. You can get a vague approximation of it, but it's not as good as it could be. If you're still searching for that tablet that can replace a laptop, we're not sure Apple's quite got there yet. But if you're looking for a tablet that will fit your needs day to day, the iPad Pro 9.7 could definitely be the one for you. And as ever, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. If you've got any thoughts, please let us know in the comments below, and I'll see you again soon.